y'all, and welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome especially. My name's Sally and I am so glad that you've stopped by. As you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be sharing a few delicious, we're going to call them animal-based fall recipes. If you've been around here, you know I'm not technically animal-based. I just have to say, I hate titles when it comes to diet and the way that one eats, because I'm just very pro eating a ton of properly prepared, real foods, just eating in abundance and not getting caught up in restriction, just learning to eat to support your body. But that said, the reason I'm calling this animal-based is because a lot of times when you go and find fall recipes, they are very like bready, or they're oatmeal, or they're pancakes, and it's pumpkin, and those are delicious. I do love those, but it can get a little bit old. Sometimes I want a little bit more variety. There's so much more to fall flavors than just pumpkin and just these like cozy bready recipes, even though again they're delicious. So my goal was to share a little bit of diversity here. None of these actually include pumpkin. None of them include any sort of bread or oats. They're all grain free. So if you are someone who is a little bit more sensitive to grains, they should be really good options for you. I think that's about it. Let's get into the video. Please let me know if you like it, what you like, what recipes sound the best to you in the comments. Those really help with the YouTube algorithm. Let's get into it. For our first breakfast, I am making a brown butter honey roasted acorn squash with Sagey breakfast sausage and eggs. So to start out, I have an acorn squash. This one is actually from my garden. It is my pride and joy, and I'm gonna quarter it. So you need a sturdy knife for this, but it's not too bad. It's easier than a lot of other squash I have found to quarter. Once you have it in its 4 separate pieces, grab a spoon and you're just gonna scrape out the seeds, throw these in your compost bin. Try drying them out and planting them again, see if it works. Set your acorn squash to the side, and then you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees and take a small skillet, setting it over medium heat. Take a tablespoon of butter and you're going to put it into your skillet. Here you're going to let it brown. So it takes just a few minutes. Watch it closely because it melts and then does nothing, and then all of a sudden it happens really quickly. But as soon as it starts to brown, you're going to add about a tablespoon of honey, a generous pinch of cinnamon, and a generous pinch of salt. Stir or swirl to combine, and once it's all melted down, brush it on top of all your acorn squash. Now I found that with a tablespoon of honey and a tablespoon of butter, I had more than I even needed for these 4 pieces of squash. So if you want to make extra, you can definitely stretch it to cover another squash, and this is a great thing to prep earlier in the week and eat throughout. Put your squash into the oven and it's going to bake for about 40 to 50 minutes until tender, and then you're going to pull it out and set it to the side as you finish preparing the other elements of this meal. So here I have a Sagey breakfast sausage, or in a minute you'll see it. I have a Sagey breakfast sausage from the co-op here. It is one of my favorite things. Always makes breakfast feel like an extra special treat. And I took it out of the casing because I wanted to crumble it and kind of do it like more of a hash, but you can certainly keep it in the casing as well. We are just cooking this up in our cast iron skillet, putting it onto a plate. I imagine you guys know how to cook sausage and eggs, but you know, we're going through it. Once it's off the pan, throw your eggs in. I did 2 eggs and my sausage to get me to just over 30 grams of protein for breakfast. Added salt, added freshly cracked black pepper, gave them a little flip, and then I pulled them off and assembled my plate. So next to my sausage, I put one of my quarters of squash. I love it. It's a fantastic source of potassium. And then I added my eggs on top of the sausage and the squash together. Definitely let me know if you try this one. I thought it was so good. I love a savory breakfast. Okay, the next one is so simple. The first one I realized was a little bit more involved, but this one makes up for it. I almost didn't include this because I feel a little bit like it's cheating, but realistically, when I look for videos like this, I often want ideas that I can throw together in just minutes that maybe I just haven't thought of before. So here I have a pear. This is a Bartlett pear. These are more in season in early fall, late summer and early fall, but different varieties come into season a little bit later in the year. So you can just choose what is available to you. Figs would also be really nice for this, but I have sliced up my pear. Now all I'm doing is I'm adding a cup of cottage cheese to a bowl, and I'm gonna put my chopped pear on top. I know, it's so simple, it's too simple, but I just have to put it on here because if you have not yet tried the combination of cottage cheese and of a nice, ripe, juicy pear, you can throw some on the ground like I did. Don't recommend it though. It's phenomenal, and it comes together in 2 minutes. It's a really easy, really delicious breakfast. For this last meal, we are going to start by preheating the oven to 375 degrees and then coring a large apple. If you have an apple core, it's going to work better than what I did. I just used a knife to kind of cut out a little circle and then a spoon to scrape it out and hollow out a hole in the center. If you have not yet guessed, we are going to be making baked apples with a yogurt cream, like a vanilla yogurt cream as opposed to ice cream, so that we get a little more protein in and have a nice balanced breakfast. But take your apple, put it in a dish with about a half cup of water in the bottom so that it cooks nicely. Set it to the side, and now you're going to take about a tablespoon of butter with about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and a sprinkle of pumpkin pie spice or a sprinkle of cinnamon and nutmeg, whatever you have on hand. Whip this together or smush it together a little less glamorously. And you're gonna take half the mixture and put it inside your apple. You are just gonna press it down, kind of fill it up. It doesn't need to be completely full. This is going to melt and kind of spread throughout the apple as it cooks. Reserve the other half the mixture and then take your apple and put it into the oven. Bake your apple for about 40 to 45 minutes. And while you're doing that, you can whip up your yogurt cream. So I'm adding about a cup of this full fat Sagey Greek yogurt to the same container that holds the remainder of that butter, brown sugar, pumpkin pie spice mixture. And I'm adding just a splash of vanilla extract. We are whipping this up, and now all we have to do is pull that apple out of the oven and put the yogurt inside. I was not the most tactful with getting the yogurt inside. Had I taken my time a little bit more, we could have made it prettier, but ultimately just used a spoon, tried to put it inside, put it on top. I do realize like I'm trying to get my protein in, and so that means I have more yogurt than necessarily looks pretty with the apple. But as I ate it, I found that it actually was a good amount, a good balance of apple and yogurt, and just super duper tasty. Okay, I know I said no oats. I did just garnish it with a little granola. That's totally optional. I had some on hand and I thought it would be pretty, so I did. But it's also delicious without. That's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Once again, comment which of these recipes looks the best to you down below. And until next time, bye y'all.